Hi, you're watching DJ TV, and next up we're trying out Pioneer's SVM 1000. It's the world's first audio-visual club mixer, and the likes of Cold Cut and Addictive TV have been bastardising equipment for years to achieve the same result. We caught up with early adopter Shannon Kleinenberg to see how he was getting on with his.
Hello. Ever since I called Pioneer with my over-enthusiastic sort of plead to try and be involved in this from the get-go, they have been tremendously supporting the people on the team. They're got their feet solidly into the scene and know exactly what goes on.
House music. House music. House music. House music. House music. House music.
The SVM 1000 looks like a standard DJ mixer, albeit with an elaborate screen. It's only when you take a closer look that you realise what it's all about. Its design is distinctly Pioneer and the layout is instantly recognisable. From this point down it has all the markings of a standard DJ mixer. Even the screen in the middle takes care of all the audio effects and custom settings. But pretty much every aspect of the mixer involves the visuals too. Push up a volume fader and it fades in the image with the audio, adjust equalisation of the music and change visual parameters at the same time. And when you apply audio effects, Pioneer have even dreamed up an elaborate palette of visual contortions to match them. So in every aspect, the visuals complement the audio. This makes the move to AV mixing relatively painless, as the visuals just follow.
It's a walk in the park. It's so natural. It comes so natural.
Though it doesn't stop there. Step up to the SVM without a flicker of visuals, and it's still possible to put on a light show using the built-in visualizer and text effects. For the simplest result, DJs and club promoters can upload JPEG logos via the USB and SD card slot. And finally, the entire control surface, including the touchscreen, will send MIDI messages via its USB and MIDI ports. So even the Ableton heads and laptop jocks are catered for. One thing that's missing is a multi-channel sound card, but I suppose that would be deviating from the point a little. Even though Pioneer designed the SVM to be as simple as possible, there's still a fair learning curve to master the full potential. The controls specific to video are nicely out of the way up here, indicated apart by the standard yellow markings. Every channel has 3 video inputs on the rear, plus an extra input for channels 1 and 4 here and here. Next to this we have the USB port for uploading JPEGs, or for attaching a keyboard to type out messages. Should you prefer, there's an SD card slot down here, and they both have covers to stop debris clogging up the ports. Just as we expect from the audio, you can also select from different video sources such as S-Video and Composite. And there's a gain control for brightness on each channel. And it's like, you want it dark, SVM's got a little kill switch, and it kills all the, because it's also, the first thing I said to Pioneer, what this mixer needs is a kill switch. Like, I'm pretty proud of it. Maybe it's the Sander kill switch, you can actually turn down the brightness of the visuals, which at times in clubs is super important. But you can also turn it all the way up, and it creates like a massive sort of, yeah, exactly. And it all of a sudden you become like your own, and that's super powerful. There's no denying that it's really powerful. Back onto the audio, we have the 2 mic inputs here with 2-band EQ and a direct connection for an XLR or jack here. There's a switch below to turn on the mics, along with a setting for talkover to automatically cut the music for those crucial announcements.
Hope you're all having a good time out there.
Further down we can enable fader start control for each channel. A simple mini jack connector to every deck will allow you to chop beats in like this. Then every channel can be individually assigned to each side of the crossfader with these switches. So you can swap channels over or free them from the crossfader entirely. For that sharp cutting effect, we adjusted the crossfader curve control, and it has 3 settings to choose from. There's also a global curve control for the channel faders here. Using these fat buttons on each channel, DJs can queue up the next track. They light up just like mini versions of the DVJ-1000's play and cue buttons, giving a consistent look to the whole DJ booth. The headphone jack and volume controls are in the usual position, and there's a switch to split the cue and master signals in either side of your headphones, or simply blend them together in stereo using the mix control. The master volume is set up here, and there's a balance control above the booth volume down here. Along with the master, every channel has a 15-segment LED volume meter. The channel signals are viewed pre-fader, so it's easy to get levels lined up nicely before dropping your mix. Even in the darkest club, there's no way you're going to miss the screen. The physical controls are somewhat duller, but the white graphics on black seem to stand out well enough. The EQ section is identical to the rest of the DJM range, but we'd still prefer a total kill rather than a 24 dB cut. Moving on to the LCD touchpad, the biggest learning curve is getting used to all the different views and how the different parts work together. The screen is split into two areas. The upper part displays all the different video effects and parameters. This smaller screen is dedicated to the video sources. For the top screen there are two major layouts. This is the default view, but we can also squish in a preview screen of the master output by clicking this button. The layout on the screen rearranges to fit everything in. With this feature you don't need an external monitor or even a clear view of the club projectors to see what's going on. We're using this external preview monitor so we have a much bigger picture. And we can adjust its settings by holding down the master monitor button to go into the utility setup. In here we have 4 different display options: the master, a mirror image, the master with these 4 preview screens, or all preview screens taken up an equal share. Back into the effects screen there's a further 3 variations of the 2 main view options. They vary according to your selection of beat, touch or text effects up here. You can process just the audio, just the visuals, or both at once by tapping here. And if you have no visuals at all, just hit the visualizer button and each of the 12 effects has its own light show. This preview screen shows what the effects will look like before you apply them. And to keep all the effects, external sequencers and MIDI gear in time, there's the BPM readout here. With a correct BPM reading you can jump between 7 preset beat lengths to quickly and rhythmically change the pace. In touch effect mode this disappears to make room for a bigger preview screen. Now you can tap and stroke the screen to adjust the effect parameters. At the bottom of the screen you've got 4 dedicated preview screens for each of the video inputs. Just like the audio in your headphones, you can see what's happening before you send it to the master. Below the 4 screens is a virtual crossfader for the visuals alone. There's a selection of fade types and they're affected by the fader curve control. Press this AV fader sync button to link every channel's video input to the channel's audio volume control. This is a global setting affecting all channels. It also links the audio crossfader with the visual crossfader on the LCD. Now when you cut in a track assigned to the crossfader, the visuals chop in too. Now we've got a clear understanding of how the whole thing works, let's dive deep into the beat effects. One of the few issues we have with the SVM is when we're playing copyright discs. In beat effects it disables the delay, echo, roll and reverse roll. And even if you change the channel select over to a different channel you still get this big ugly warning sign which sort of covers over the preview screen. Right, to quickly run through the effects, we've got a loop on the right of some beatboxing. On the left we've got me jumping around like an idiot. And we've got them both on the crossfader here. So I can jump between the two and give you a bit of variation. First up we've got a set a tap tempo. Get 110 BPM there. We've got 4 variations of each effect, so if I give you the full depth and then demonstrate the effect there, we've got original, inverse, edge and hue, and this is exactly the same for every single effect. A neat trick with the depth is you can sort of do this pretend beat juggling. You can also adjust this timing parameter, so instead of moving in these like organised amounts, you can go manually up here like this and you get quite a crazy effect when you get near the top. This is kind of similar to the DJM 600. And then you can instantly jump back to getting into times increments like this. Next up we've got the echo. Very similar, but you've got lots of different trails going one after the other. You can set how much you want it to sample. You can also pull down the fader and then the effect trails still keep going. This only works on the master though. Next up we've got pan. Pretty obvious what this one does. We can drop down to a quarter of a beat, half a beat, 1 beat, or a real slow pan. Next up we've got trans. Again, you can go really quickly. Next up we've got the filter, and this one you've got a blurring with the filtering, but you've also got a resonance control on the depth here. The flanger has a kind of interesting delay pattern going on here. And then the phaser. Next up we've got the reverb. This is the wet and dry control here. Right round to the wet and back down to dry. You've also got percentage of reverb, so it's kind of the intensity of it here. So 90% gives you a really long tail. Next up we've got robot. This kind of pixelates the screen and puts a bit of a mad chorus on. Chorus and pitch shifting together. Next up the chorus. This is quite a colourful one. Next up we have the roll effect. Now this works just like the CDJ 400 and like the DJM 800 and various other mixers. You can just grab any beat. Say if we grab quarter beat here, put it to original. Now the reverse roll does exactly the same thing but in reverse. Next up we've got the touch effects, so we can warp and bend the visuals with the touch of a finger. We get some beats going. On the ripple, it ripples. You've got different types of ripple effect. Left and right. Random wobbles. And you've got depth, so you can change the size and the effect of that. Zoom. Scale right up so you can stretching him wide. That's just kind of a straight old close-up. It sort of disappears. On the blur we've got a filter, and that's a low pass. Change the pattern, you've got a high pass. 3. And this one's kind of like a notch filter, I think. Different colours. One of the cool things is you can do a pattern, so if we go down onto the high pass, low pass even, it records 8 seconds of your movements. You can also just tap once and then get a fixed parameter. So you can creep in a filter like this. Next up we've got distortion. Different patterns, different shapes. And then there's the block effect. Change the amount. Now radiation gives you a kind of a backlight effect of a bit crushy sound. Kaleidoscope, it's quite cool. You can move it around. The lens applies a lens over your mix, and a pitch shifter. The cube is self-explanatory. You've got different patterns, and you can change the size and throw it around. Twist, you can sort of zoom the image around. Gives you a bit of a flounger. Spotlight with a filter. And then we've got a colourful dot we can put on everything. Kind of moves around of its own accord, or you can affect it. It's not that all these visuals aren't good enough to show the club that you're in full control of the audio-visual experience, but if you really want to stamp it home, you can send out a message using the text effects. This first one here fades it in and out with some filtering. It's got a phaser there, flanger. We've got a chop there, transpose. You can also change the speed of the chop, just like the beat effects. Zoom, crush. You can edit your text in here with a touchscreen keyboard. You've got font, colour to choose from, the size, small, big, auto size to make it as big as possible. You've got a little preview screen here to see what's going on. You can also put in numbers, exclamation marks and international characters. Hit the exit button to go back to the preview display. The SVM1000 stands out because it's the most awesome integration of audio and visual effects available. The bright LCD touchpad adds a new dimension for controlling effects. And because you can fill in the gaps with built-in visuals, there's literally no compromise even for regular audio jocks.
Well, I love the overall layout. I love the idea of the touchscreen. Touchscreen is very, very helpful. It's very easy. You got your audio, video.
It's let down by the annoying issues with copyright on certain effects, and it would be great to have an affordable version for the masses. Considering it's such a monster mixer, it's a real shame not to see a multi-channel audio interface on there.
Well, there's a few things. I asked, but this is what I've been asking all makers of fine DJ gear, is to try and have separate outputs on each channel, and it's something that they say is really expensive, and not a lot of people want it.
In the end, any problems we have with this mixer are easily smoothed out, and there really is nothing on the market that compares to it. It's very clear to see Pioneer's tactics here. They're really laying down the law for all else to follow. And for now, it looks like we might have ourselves a new industry standard.
And that's very comfortable to know that you have something that enhances you. And I mean, once the mixer was there and the first time I played with it, it's like I've come full circle. This is exactly what it should be doing. And this is the missing link to what it is to add, you know, that extra element to DJing in the form of visuals.